Again, so much to talk about. I know you've been hearing a little bit about the January 6th committee hearing. It was quite, I think, historical in the same sense as when Butterfield really revealed that there were everything was being recorded in the White House back 50 years ago, and the John Dean testimony. I think today was possibly even more, well, definitely more explosive. So we will talk about that, and so much to talk about.
Was your jaw hitting the floor as you were listening and watching to those hearings? I mean,
it's like everything with Trump. It's like, well, that doesn't really surprise me. But at the same time, like Ronald Reagan always wore his suit coat whenever he was in the Oval Office. People would even say, "Hey, aren't you hot? You can take your coat off." And he's like, "No, I respect the Oval Office. I will not be taking my coat off." And then Trump is throwing lunch, and the most offensive thing is that it's got so much ketchup involved. It's not even. I mean, you're the president of the United States. You have one of the best chefs in the world working for you 24 hours a day, and you're eating something that's got ketchup in it.
Hey, I'm a ketchup lover myself, but I would agree. If you have the best chefs in the world, I mean, you can do a little bit better than pulling out the old bottle of Heinz ketchup and
exactly.
putting it on whatever you're eating.
So it kind of doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, the incident, we will talk about this, the incident that happened in the so-called Beast, which is basically the presidential limousine these days, but it's really a beast, because it has to be a military tank now, not a fun convertible like it used to be in the past. But yeah, that blew my mind. Even though I've been keeping up on all this stuff and keeping up on all stuff Trump, that was like, wow, okay, he was that uncontrollable, and yeah, I mean that makes him even more crazy than I thought he was, and I don't know. Yeah, well, you can tell my jaw's still on the floor. I'm speechless, kind of.
What do you do? Like if you're the Secret Service agents that driving the limo, excuse me, and you have the president reaching for your hand. I mean, you don't want to just slap it away. He's the president of the United States. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, he's the guy who's going to run the car into the ditch and roll it and kill everybody. And but he's also the president of the United States. Excuse me, sir, please. I have control over the car. I don't know what you do. And apparently then, the guy who tried to stop him almost got choked by him. It's the thing is that even if it was, if they wrote this into the show Veep, they would have said, no, that's going way too far. That's absolutely unbelievable. I know we make everyone crazy here on this show, but nobody would be that crazy. So yeah, my jaw was on the floor. And then, of course, the big reveal at the very end that you're going to have to stay tuned in to find out what it is. Here we do have an early caller, CC, if that's your real name, from Bismarck, North Dakota. Hello.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And what were you calling in about?
Yeah. So I'm a Christian, and I heard obviously the Roe v. Wade being overturned. And for me, that's a really good thing because the Bible talks about how we were made, formed before we were even born by God. But what's your kind of opinion on the whole Roe v. Wade being overturned?
Where in the Bible does it say that exactly?
Jeremiah.
Okay.
Chapter 1.
What I have to say about it is there are a lot of incidents, there are a lot of circumstances where things can get pretty gnarly. Treatment for an ectopic pregnancy, the only treatment for that is abortion. Otherwise, everybody dies. The treatment for a septic uterus is abortion. That's the only treatment for that. And if abortion does not happen, everybody dies. The treatment for a miscarriage that your body won't release, the only treatment for that is abortion. And these are things that are being outlawed by a lot of states, and it's going to kill women. Do you care about women dying?
Sure do, but I think, a lot of those aren't the majority of abortion cases. I think a lot of them have to do with responsibility and lack of self-control that leads to people having unwanted pregnancies early on in their life.
What about doing regulations that the man who got the woman pregnant has to have some sort of responsibility? Would you support legislation like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely important. I think men as well have to step up and be, godly men and not be, just going around, prostituting themselves with other women and causing women to be pregnant and then just abandoning the woman. So yeah, for sure. I think there should be some type of legislation that, makes the man responsible in some sort of way as well. But I don't think abortion is the answer at all.
There are people who use birth control, and sometimes birth control doesn't work. They're trying to be responsible, and then they get an unwanted pregnancy. Do you want that pregnancy to go to term and have the child be an unwanted child, basically?
I think so. I mean, honestly, I'd rather have the baby be born and then be put up for adoption, or at least have some sort of life than just being killed in the womb. I think, murder is, that's a strong word, but I think killing a human life at any sort of point is just not, it should be avoided at all costs. And so just because you don't want the baby, you still shouldn't just kill it because of that.
Well, you're not killing a baby. You're killing you're aborting a fetus. There's a big difference.
Okay.
But
so I would ask.
Then plus there are something like 400,000 or more. A huge number of children waiting to be adopted, and they're not being adopted. You want millions more children who are not going to be adopted? Do you want millions more women who can't afford? They're abandoned by their men? Because GOP doesn't care about making laws against men who make women pregnant. They only are going after the women. And there are a lot of women who can't afford to have a baby. So there's going to be more poverty, a lot more poverty. And there's going to be a lot more women dying before or after the child is born. That's why, and this legislation is not going to end abortions. It's only going to end safe abortions. People are still going to have abortions, and actually, the people who have the easiest access to that service are rich white Republican women. So it's pretty hypocritical, I think, that they know that impoverished, especially women of color, are going to be completely cut off from abortion. There are still women who actually use knitting needles to try and injure themselves. So that
that's terrible.
And that's going to happen more. It's not going to stop abortions by any means. It's only going to stop safe abortions, and it's going to kill a lot of women who are already alive.
That is true, but I guess I would just say to that, that is true, and I think as Christians and as pro-lifers, that's where we have to step in and say, walk alongside those women and tell them that you don't have to do those, crazy, back alley abortions, but there is hope and there's freedom if you just take that baby to term. And I've talked to so many women who said, it was the best decision they ever made, just taking that baby to term. And now that daughter or that son is their best friend. And so I think that's really where we have to go with it, is just help them have that baby, support them financially, support them with housing and stuff like that.
You think they're going to come? You think they're going to come and try and find help if they're scared to death? They don't know where to go, and they're thinking of injuring themselves with knitting needles. You think they're going to come to you or another Christian and ask for help?
There are Christian organizations that help people like that. Where I live in North Dakota, there's one called Dakota Hope Clinic and stuff like that. Where they I think those places are good. They're some of the few Christian churches that actually care about helping people, but I'm talking about women with no means, women who might not even know where, they're not a member of a church. They don't have the means to get any kind of help. They're scared to death. They have no idea where to go. The guy who got them pregnant is probably, might have raped them, and
they don't know what to do. They're desperate. You know, they're not going to walk into a church and say, hey, how can I sign up to get some help from you so that I can bring this baby to term? And then can I get some help to support the baby afterwards? Another thing the Republican Party, it cuts all the time. They don't want to support child care services. They don't want to support paid family and medical leave. They don't want to, I mean, they want to cut all anything that helps people that are in poverty. They don't want the government to have anything to do with that. They want to cut all that. So they're forcing women to bring the pregnancy to term and have a baby, and then they cut them off. They don't seem to care about the actual baby. They only care about the fetus.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Republican Party has gone wrong. And that's why I always tell people, I'm not representing the Republican Party. I'm representing Jesus Christ. And so what Jesus wants is for every child to have a chance to live, and for every mother to have a chance to raise that child with support and with help.
Okay.
And
well, Jesus Christ didn't
really
say anything of the sort, and he never mentioned anything about abortion. And actually, in the Old Testament, in Jewish scriptures, they do support abortion because it is part of women's health care. Abortion, like I mentioned, is the only treatment for some of these horrible things that happen to women. And in the Bible scriptures, it does mention that.
Do you mind telling me which passage, perhaps, where that was mentioned? I don't think I've ever encountered that.
I'm not a big Bible thumper, but I know that right now there are a lot of Jewish entities that are saying that overturning Roe v. Wade goes against their religious freedoms because their scripture includes that abortion is part of women's health care. They don't want women to die, basically. And I can't tell you the exact passage. Maybe it could probably be looked up pretty easily, but I do know that there are a lot of Jewish people and entities across the nation that are outraged over the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and it's because it takes away their religious freedom. It seems like this country is not based on Christianity, it's based on the freedom of and from religion, and so the Republicans seem to think that this is just nothing but Christian white people land, and that's not how this country was founded.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that. But I have again spoken to some atheists who said it's a moral issue for them. It's not just a religious issue or a Christian issue. It's a thing like morally they can't just see themselves supporting taking a human life in the womb.
Yeah, well, it's not taking a human life. It's taking a life of a fetus. But they're free to have that opinion, and you're free to have yours, and you're free to do everything you can if you get a woman pregnant to try and talk her into having the baby. I sure hope you'll stick around and be the father and make sure that baby has a good life after it's born. You're perfectly free to have your own opinion. But right now, the opinion of other people are being forced on, mostly women, but all of America. We are all affected by this. Like I said, poverty is going to go up. The death of women is going to go up. A lot of bad things are going to happen because of this. And if women remain having their constitutional right to access to reproductive rights that just got turned over, then your life isn't different. You can still choose to handle your life the way you want. And the other people who are anti-abortion completely and 100% are free to live their life in that way as well. And by the way, I'm not pro-abortion. I don't want people to just have abortions, but I don't want people to be taking knitting needles and sticking them in their bodies, trying to injure themselves so that their baby, their fetus doesn't survive. And that's what we're talking about.
And that should never happen. But it just begs the question, at what point does that fetus become a human life? Because then you run into the issue where, you have people aborting their babies days before they're due or weeks before they're due.
That only happens. That's not allowed
to
to that's not allowed to happen by law unless there is like one of these really desperate situations, like I mentioned, where the mother's bound to die. In Minnesota, abortion is still legal, but only up until 24 weeks, and after that, it only happens if the mother's going to basically die, or if it's a miscarriage and the mother can't pass it. Then the only way, and so. This whole talk about that somebody's going to be pregnant and think, oh, yeah, I'm all happy about having my baby. And then 10 minutes before she's going to deliver the baby, she changes her mind. That does not happen. And in Minnesota, by the way, in the full year of 2020, there was one abortion that happened after 24 weeks. And it was, of course, because it was a medical emergency. So all of that talk about, I'm going to talk about this later because here, I know you're from North Dakota, but the gubernatorial race is talking about this because the Republican is accusing the Democrat of being all for abortion until, a week before the birth. And that's just absolutely not true. So when you hear other people say that, please know that they're lying. So don't be misled by that. You seem like a reasonable person, and this has been a good conversation, and I very much appreciate and respect the fact that you have been respectful during this whole conversation. And I hope that you found some enlightenment in this. I hope you've learned something. I have learned something in that I was expecting you to be combative, and you were actually very reasonable and nice. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, appreciate you taking my call, man.
Sure, absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for calling in. We do got to take a break, though, but thanks a lot for CC. What's your real name?
Oh, actually, we just lost him. He said it was short for, he has a really long name that is short for.
All right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate his call. I think that was an interesting conversation. So, but we need to go to a break, so let's do that, Brett, real quick. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is your summer destination. The patio is amazing, perfect for you and your friends to grab dinner and drinks. Enjoy a game of cornhole while you indulge in the great food. The full Park Tavern menu is available outside. The Park Tavern also has live music on the patio every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even some Mondays through the summer. Reservations are highly recommended. And if the weather does turn, the bowling lanes at the Park Tavern are always open and are spectacular. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, the perfect summer is waiting for you at the Park Tavern.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster and speaker, Freddie Bell.
Freddie, this generation of the baby boomers, people are living longer, so the baby boomers are taking care of elderly parents.
Let's talk about your health, and specifically, let's talk about Medicare. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, and even entertainment.
Join us for New Beginnings, Saturday mornings at 11, brought to you in part by Vision Loss Resources.
Buying a big ticket item like an appliance doesn't have to be stressful. Don't waste time wandering the paint aisles looking for help or arranging your own delivery, installation, and haul away, all with different contractors. I'm Angela Warner, and at Warner Stellian, our appliance specialists simplify the process from selection to free professional delivery. We'll coordinate everything for you and still guarantee unbeatable prices. Right now, you'll save 5%, and that's just the start. Find out more at our 10 Minnesota Warner Stellian stores and at warnerstellian.com.
Coming up this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 from 7 to 8 a.m., it's the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. We'll be discussing plant diseases in your garden this summer, as well as a number of things that you don't need to worry about in your garden. Our guest is author Sharon Lovejoy, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Catch the replay Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m.
Now, more than ever, we are being faced daily with the topic of human mortality. And for many people, estate planning has been top of mind. Getting your estate planning done now can be easy and cost-effective. Schroman Law offers virtual options for initial consultations so that new clients can safely initiate the process. With many facing uncertain financial situations, Schromen Law also offers affordable fees for legal documents. Learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
What's the one thing you can't buy? Time. Warner Stellian saves time for busy homeowners with convenient assistance from selection to free professional delivery. No wandering the paint aisles or scheduling with different delivery contractors. Something else we could all use more of? Money. Warner Stellian has the lowest prices of the season with 5% savings you won't find anywhere else. The specialists at Warner Stellian make appliance shopping simple, and they'll help you stack deals that are too low to advertise. Visit our 10 Minnesota stores or shop online with expert chat at warnerstellian.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in for Matt McNeil. Just kind of trying to look up a couple things from our last call. I was tested because I have been seeing that Jewish people are saying that the overturning of Roe v. Wade it goes against their religious freedom. There is a lot of information about it. I don't have, while I'm actually on the air, it's kind of difficult to read through it. But there is a lot of information on that. So CC, if you're still listening in Bismarck, look up Jewish scripture on abortion and see what you find. It looks like there's a few things in both directions, but I don't know. Interesting stuff. And I did mention too, and he's still on the line one he's not actually on the line. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, that was an interesting call. He was very reasonable and calm and respectful.
And by the way, it's easy to look up. Go to Wikipedia. There's an entire article on Judaism and abortion.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at too. It's long, but and it looks like there's about 5 or 6 different passages, and it goes from they do value the fetus, but also talking about the precedence of the mother's life, and that's what I'm thinking is likely what these Jewish groups are talking about. But anyway, I mentioned on that phone call that here in Minnesota, just today, there has been a little bit of talk. Now, the Republicans have been seeming to kind of steer clear of this Roe v. Wade thing for the most part. I know the very local candidates that are running out in my district for the House and the Senate are not mentioning it at all. The Republican candidates are not mentioning it at all. Now, they're kind of cut off from any the mothership because the mothership is out of money, and their campaigns are also having trouble raising money. So, even back when I ran, the DFL had some guidance as to the issues. I quite often didn't really pay attention to it, or I was already pretty knowledgeable about what they were talking about. But they did have things like some polling so that they could tell us things like, well, in our polling right now, suburban women are most concerned about, so it would give us a little bit of guidance as to what we should talk about on the issues when we're knocking doors and when we're writing things maybe on social media or on our websites. Right now, the local GOP candidates don't really have that. So they're out on their own, and right now, basically, they're just like the guy Andrew Meyer running against Lauren Bresnahan. He's just saying, "Hey, I represent your backyard because those crazy black people with guns are coming out this way." He's talking about how dangerous Minneapolis is, but it's coming out this way, right into your backyard. Your backyard has never been so unsafe. And, I think that's kind of laughable. But, he's trying. He's not getting any advice because the mothership has lost all their money. But on the state level now, the Tim Walz had a press conference, and I did not get a chance to see it because it seems like he had it right before or even during the committee hearings. And I was actually watching the committee hearings, both because I wanted to talk about it on the radio today and also because I'm completely addicted. And of course, this was the most explosive, riveting committee hearing in the history of committee hearings, I think, possibly in the universe. Speaking of the universe, by the way, is there any chance this building, I think we've mentioned it before, is this building haunted?
We've with Ghost Box Radio, he's had some psychics in that have said, yeah, they've picked up some spirits around here. I've heard stories from other staff members saying they've seen stuff fall off the walls unexpectedly. I personally have not.
I feel like that too, but I don't know if you noticed when I was talking to CC from North Dakota, this mic stand just started pulling the mic away from me. Did you see that happen? I can't get it to repeat it. I've been trying to kind of move it. I can't get it to repeat, but it just went like this during
Yeah.
So anyway,
something is mysteriously moving the mic stand. Yeah.
Yes. So we have gone. We started, our first break was a little late, and now this one's a little late. So I'm going to come back and talk about the Republicans talking about Tim Walz on the whole Roe v. Wade issue, because, well, it's very interesting, and it further points out the disingenuousness, I will use as the word to describe the Republican Party and the Republicans' gubernatorial front-running candidate right now. When we come back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call, because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth, because they're the only ones you get.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily, with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Matt McNeil here. I've said it before. I will always drive a Toyota Sienna. In my mind, it's the best vehicle available. Whether I'm driving across town or across the country, there's no vehicle that makes long drives easier. The Toyota Sienna is the most comfortable car I've ever driven. Roomy, space for the whole family, even though the kids have gotten bigger. And I can even fit all of our luggage, bikes, and fishing gear in the back. Easy. I stand by Toyotas. They're great vehicles, and the only place I'll buy one is Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
This is the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space.
And our intention is that these conversations spark your own curiosity that creates a life that totally lights you up.
On this week's show, we talk with Daryl Bolchek. He's a musician, producer, and owner of Wild Horse Recording Studio. Daryl has some stories to share this Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Coming up this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 from 7 to 8 a.m., it's the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. We'll be discussing plant diseases in your garden this summer, as well as a number of things that you don't need to worry about in your garden. Our guest is author Sharon Lovejoy, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Catch the replay Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 84, tonight clear with a low around 59, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 90. Hazel's Northeast has some of the most creatively prepared comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Favorites include the Drunken Banana French Toast, Buttermilk Fried Chicken Sandwich, and Swedish Meatballs. Open Tuesdays through Saturdays from 8 to 8 with a Sunday brunch from 8 until 2. Located off 29th and Johnson. More at hazelsnetogo.com.
Definitely me on drums. Am I right?
I think so.
You're pretty good on the piano too.
I can do piano. Yeah, I did play that back when I was a kid. Drums, though, no
That's
rhythm.
tight.
I'd be terrible at it.
Yeah, we sound good. I think that's Kate Bush. Oh yes, it's definitely Kate Bush. Cool. Matt has some good taste in music.
Yeah, Kate Bush is one of his favorite artists, by the way. He's brought that up a few times, so not surprised she's going to be on his playlist.
Cool. We were talking about the Minnesota Republican Party making they did a press release reacting to Tim Walz. They call it Tim Walz abortion press conference. Now I know Tim Walz is I think he signed an executive order saying that he will not let anybody who comes to Minnesota be prosecuted. He won't. Minnesota will not cooperate with any of the laws from the states where they prosecute you if you have an abortion, even out of state. I think that's probably, and like I apologize, I did not see his press conference. I assume that's kind of the gist of it. Of course, this is a huge issue, and it's going to be talked about an awful lot this whole summer and going into the fall. And the Supreme Court making all these changes, they're probably going to go after birth control and try and get rid of that. It seems like they just want to make sure that nobody ever has sex again. And but getting back to the Republican Party, Minnesota Republican Party's press release in reaction to Tim Walz's press conference. This is put out by Republican Party of Minnesota Chairman David Hahn. Quote, Tim Walz and Minnesota Democrats support taxpayer-funded abortion on demand up until the moment of birth. Minnesotans don't support these extremist policies. Republicans will continue working to elect candidates who will protect life and support Minnesota mothers and families. Right. We welcome U.S. Supreme Court returning governance on this issue to the people of Minnesota. That's mostly lies, just blatant, bald-face lies. And there was reporting then, because not just Ken Hand, the chairman of the Republican Party in Minnesota, but also their front-running gubernatorial candidate, Scott Jensen. And we have Max Nestorak from Minnesota Reformer reporting on it very quickly. And he writes, likely Republican nominee Scott Jensen, who supports banning abortion, falsely said Governor Tim Walz holds the view that abortion should be permitted up to the moment of birth. Jensen writes this. This is a Jensen quote. Late-term 9-month abortions championed by Tim Walz are not Minnesota values. Now, that's the end of that quote. Walz says he supports, and this is the true part, maintaining the timelines outlined by current law. And in Minnesota, elective abortion is legal up to viability, or around 24 weeks, after which the procedure must be done in a hospital if, for example, the health or life of the mother were in danger. So in Minnesota, Tim Walz supports up to viability, which is around 24 weeks. After that, an abortion would have to be saving the life of the mother, basically. Now, according to pro-abortion rights and anti-abortion rights groups, Walz rejected nearly all anti-abortion bills during this time in the U.S. House from 2007 to 2018. This included bills to ban all abortions after 20 weeks. The vast majority of abortions, about 93%, happen within the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's according to the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention. 93% happen within the first 13 weeks. So already 93% of abortions only happen certainly before the first 20 weeks. I know that Republicans were trying to pass something like that before. Now they're trying to say something like 6 weeks, which is when most women don't even realize they're pregnant yet. Going on in the Minnesota Reformer, among the 8 abortion providers in Minnesota, just one clinic in Minnesota provides abortions as late as 24 weeks into pregnancy. In Minnesota in 2020, one person had an abortion after 24 weeks of pregnancy. like I mentioned to CC on the phone call. So I'm going to say that again. Among the 8 abortion providers in Minnesota, just one clinic in Minnesota provides abortions as late as 24 weeks. And in Minnesota in 2020, there was only one person that had an abortion after 24 weeks. So Wall's campaign manager, Nicole Johnson, said in a statement, Jensen is lying about this issue to distract from his unpopular plan to ban abortion outright, including for victims of rape and incest. That's true. See, Democrats don't lie about what Republicans say. Republicans lie about what Democrats say. Excuse me. Jensen said he would try to ban abortion if elected, and doesn't think there should be exceptions for rape or incest. The only exception Jensen says he supports is if the life of the mother is threatened. That makes him more human than an awful lot of Republicans in this country. Jensen told CCO Radio, my view of life is that it begins at conception. That's, of course, very, there's no, the jury is way, way, way out on that. And science basically says that's not true. Jensen wouldn't, here's important to be pointed out, Jensen would not be able to ban abortion if elected governor, even if he could get a GOP-controlled legislature, both the Senate and the House, to go along. Because in 1995, Minnesota Supreme Court decision ruled that a person's right to an abortion is enshrined in the Minnesota Constitution. So the National Supreme Court said that this is no longer a national issue. It can be handled by each individual state. And Minnesota is handling it in that you still have a right to an abortion because it's part of women's health care. It is sometimes the only remedy to life-threatening and life-ending circumstances. So if Jensen got to be governor and the Republicans won the House and the Senate, the way Kurt Doubt thinks it's going to happen, by the way, I don't think he really believes that. I think he just knows he has to say that. Even if that happened and the legislature passed a law saying, trying to ban abortion, and then Jensen signed it, it would go to the Minnesota Supreme Court. And the Minnesota Supreme Court would completely overrule that decision because the Minnesota Supreme Court agrees with the Minnesota Constitution as it is. And the Minnesota Supreme Court was appointed, all the members appointed by Democratic governors, because there hasn't been a Republican governor for 16 years. Well, I guess no, there was 13 years. He won the election 16 years ago. But anyway, and by the way, even if the Republicans won the House and the Senate and passed a law to ban abortion in Minnesota, and Jensen did not become governor and Walz remained governor, and then even if Walz signed that, which he wouldn't, he would veto it. But even if he signed it, again, it would go to the Minnesota Supreme Court and it would be overruled because it goes against the Minnesota Constitution. Women's health care rights, all the way up to abortion, is enshrined in the Minnesota Constitution. So when Republicans say, hey, elect us because we will ban abortion, they can't. So even that, they're lying to their own people. And they know it. I don't know if Jensen knows it because he doesn't, I seem to really have all of his faculties. He shows a lot of signs of not being in control of all of his faculties, in his head. So anyway, that's what's going on with that subject. So I was kind of expecting to have gone into the committee hearings by now, but we got that phone call in the beginning, and it's really raised some very valid things. And I really want to make sure that people understand what's going on in Minnesota with this whole ruling. And so I think it's important to keep talking about this. I think people really need to know what's going on. Even CC, who called in, the first thing he said is, I'm a Christian and I'm against murdering babies, so he was that far. He talked very reasonably. He was not combative. He was very respectful. And, he agreed with an awful lot of things that I said in retaliation to what he was saying. And I think those kind of conversations need to happen more. I'm very happy that conversation happened here on the air. I hope that you spread the word if you heard it. And I just think it's important to make sure people know what's going on and really understand what's going on, because Republicans right now are stretching things and lying about things and accusing Democrats of doing ghoulish things that they're not doing, or believing or supporting horrible things. And that's absolutely not the case. This is a civil issue. It does not have to be made into this whole huge argument about morality. So anyway, let's take a break and come back. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in for Matt McNeil, who's on vacation this week. And we'll be right back.
I can't shut off this stereo.
As the weather warms up, now is the perfect time to prepare for summer reading, and Next Chapter Booksellers can help. Not sure what to get? The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations to find books that fit your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also hosts many book readings and meet and greets with authors, and they sell a wide variety of puzzles and games too. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul, or place an order online at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Hey everybody, this is Gregory Rich, founder of Habitation Furnishing and Design and host of Drink in the Style. Say, I'm willing to bet that you're hearing this in your car and there's a good chance that you're heading home. If that's the case, let me ask you, are you looking forward to getting there? Is your home a place that energizes? Well, if it isn't, it might be time for a furnishings refresh. Think about it. We've all spent a lot of time at home over the past couple of years, and maybe you need more than just a new sofa. Why not have a skilled, professional, tasteful interior designer from Habitation help you create a space that is exceptional? Whether it's your family room, living room, bedroom, or even home workspace, Habitation can help you create an environment that is exactly what you've always wanted. Habitation Furnishing and Design, located at the District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at habitationdesign.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson here with you for a few more minutes this hour, and then another whole hour. We were just talking about Scott Jensen, the Minnesota Republican gubernatorial front-running candidate, and Brenda from Carver has something to say about that subject. Hi, Brenda.
The reason I'm calling is I saw an interview that TPT reporter Mary LaHammer did with Scott Jensen. I believe it was relatively recently. I don't know if it was before or after the Roe decision last Friday. But in the interview, the man seemed pretty damn proud that he delivered an 11-year-old child's baby. And it upset me very much. What in the hell was he doing allowing a child to bring a child to term?
Well, I'm glad that maybe he didn't have anything to do with the fact that the child was bringing the baby to term. It's good that it was safely delivered, but because that could be a really dangerous thing. But yeah,
but why did it ever get that far? I don't understand that. I'm sickened by this, and this is what's going to happen more and more. This happened when I was young. I fought for Roe as a teenager, and I knew of so many women that had been harmed by abortions that were not safe.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
and this man's a doctor. I
know.
Please, you should be. I mean, maybe if the child was brought to him at that stage, but again, this is incest.
Yeah, and he should have been talking about it instead of being proud, that and trying to make it into a.
Really upset me.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been saying, "Well, I saved this poor little girl's life and the baby's life, but I'm really lucky I was able to do that. But it was atrocious that she was bringing this baby to term. I don't know who was responsible for that." That's what he should have been saying.
Exactly. It most likely was incest.
Yeah.
It could have been rape from an outside person.
An 11-year-old girl, and that means that she probably got pregnant at 10. I don't think that was a consensual thing with her and her partner.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A child that age has no idea.
Exactly. And yeah, you're right. I know a story from somebody I knew from a long time ago who this story happened in the 1930s. There was a woman who had a baby, and then her husband got killed in an accident, and she was pregnant and tried to have an abortion and died. And then the existing child, of course, was parentless all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That happened in the 1930s in a small town in Minnesota. And that's what like you said, that's what used to happen. And that's what's going to happen again.
It will happen again. And, the thing is they hid a lot of this stuff years ago. We have social media now. And I think people need to be verbal about anything that they know about this kind of stuff going on, and make sure that people around them understand the ramifications of this. This isn't just saving babies' lives. This is saving women's lives.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people are going to die because of this, and maybe has already begun. It's really scary. In Wisconsin, which is, I could walk there from here. It'd take me a while, but it's illegal in Wisconsin now.
I know.
Right now.
I tell you, when my grandmother had 2 babies with water sac heads that caused her a lot of pain and anguish to deliver, she should have never been forced back then to have these babies. She should have been able to get an abortion. But here in Minnesota, at that time, it wasn't a legal procedure.
Right.
And even under the circumstances, she didn't end up, having an abortion. She ended up delivering and having very difficult deliveries of these babies that weren't even viable and died immediately.
Oh, see, that's so sad. And it's a lot of horrible, terrifying stories are going to be coming back.
I hope the men that are listening understand the ramifications to them and their families too.
Exactly.
This is not just a woman's issue.
No.
This is a family issue. This is a woman. It's about women's rights. And I have seen Republicans year after year try to continue to erode women's rights. And I refuse to be considered a second-class citizen in this country that I have paid taxes to and put up with all kinds of crap from the Republicans for so many years.
Yep.
This stuff's got to stop.
Absolutely. And
we
so
need to codify this across the country.
well, we need to, in order to do that, we need to win in this midterm election. So I hope that
Yes,
you'll.
we do.
Yep. We just all need to fight together. Support your local candidate and get out there, door knock. All of us, we need to take it to the streets. Thank you so much for your call, Brenda. That was very enlightening.
Have a good day.
You too. Here's somebody. I'm not a football guy. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. You probably know who it is, Brett.
I do. Yes.
I don't. Well, he put out a statement. Here's his statement. This is an NFL football player. I'm not pro murdering babies. I'm pro Becky, who found out at her 20-week anatomy scan that the infant she had been so excited to bring into this world had developed without life-sustaining organs. I'm pro Susan, who was sexually assaulted on her way home from work, only to come to the horrific realization that her assailant planted his seed in her when she got a positive pregnancy test result a month later. I'm pro Teresa, who hemorrhaged due to a placental abruption, causing her parents, spouse, and children to have to make the impossible decision on whether to save her or her unborn child. I'm pro Kathy, who had her innocence ripped away from her by someone she should have been able to trust, and her 11-year-old body isn't mature enough to bear the consequences of the betrayal, tying right into what Becky just said. That's a statement by a pro NFL football player that Brett knows. That's what we're talking about. These are the things. And again, I thank Becky for calling in, because these are the things we need to be talking about. And we need to be hearing it from a woman's standpoint. Now, that was an NFL male football player. He gets it. I get it. I think you get it, Brett. There, the vast majority of men get it. And we want to protect women and their health. And we want to protect babies and fetuses too. They need all of them need to have proper, they need exposure to the health care that they need. Sorry, I was tripping over my words there a little bit. Anyway, well, that's the end of the first hour. We'll be back on the second hour, probably talking a lot about the committee hearing, but there's still more to come about Jeremy Miller being a liar, all of them being a liar. We'll come back for the second hour in just a few minutes. AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The local advertisers you hear on AM 950 are the lifeblood of the station. If you find yourself regularly tuning in, or if you appreciate the diversity of content we deliver, please take the time to support our advertisers. Even if it's just to thank them for backing AM 950, your voice and support can go a long way. Help keep the station going strong while investing in our local community. Find the complete list of on-air supporters by visiting the advertisers page at am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
Crooner's Supper Club is back after an exciting renovation. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from top-name local and national artists in the newly renovated Crooners, with its new dining room and bar, Maggie's Lounge, expanded seating in the main stage, and updated COVID safety measures. Located just north of 694 off Highway 65. Make your next night out with Crooner's Supper Club, a little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century. More at croonersmn.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, it's Randy Rhodes, weeknights, 10 to midnight. We are AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
She told the panel Deputy Chief of Staff Tony Aranto told her about what Trump did when he was told by the head of his Secret Service detail that they weren't going to the Capitol.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol."
Hutchinson on her reaction after seeing Trump's tweet about Vice President Mike Pence's lack of courage.
As an American, I was disgusted. It was unpatriotic. It was un-American. We were watching the Capitol building get defaced over a lie.
She added that Trump, when told supporters he addressed that morning had weapons, told officials to take down the metal detectors and let them march to the Capitol. Former jet-setting socialite Ghislaine Maxwell is sentenced to 20 years in prison for helping financier Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse underage girls over more than a decade. Her lawyer, Bobby Sturdom, after today's sentencing, said Epstein killed himself rather than face justice.
Jeffrey Epstein left Ghislaine Maxwell holding the whole bag.
In December, a federal jury convicted Maxwell of sex trafficking, transporting a minor to participate in illegal sex acts, and 2 conspiracy charges. This is AP News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, this is Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and the Twin Cities Real Estate Show here on AM 950. With home prices at all-time highs, do you want to downsize but don't know where to start? With the fast-changing market, I can help with timing, pricing strategy, home preparation, and much more. Take the worry of selling away and give me a call today at 651-303-0019. I've helped many AM 950 listeners sell their houses, and I can help you too.
The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Your friends and your family will have a great time with the fantastic food like the pizzas, appetizers, burgers, entrees, and sandwiches. The best bowling in Minnesota, the wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event. Even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone aged 1 to 100. Come see for yourself. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour for the last 5 years on AM 950. We air every Saturday night at 6 p.m. We have artists, musicians, private detectives, politicians, and more. On AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Warmer weather is here, and that means it's time for home improvement projects. If you're planning a remodel or property upgrade for your home or business, switching to solar energy should be part of your project, and All Energy Solar can help. Most home improvement projects don't pay for themselves until the property is sold, but switching to All Energy Solar is an investment that can actually pay for itself even if you don't sell your property. In fact, after 30 years of operation, solar energy could pay back 300 to 400% of the cost. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar is built to last, not just for years, but decades. Most systems from All Energy Solar come with a 25 to 30-year warranty. So make your home improvement project a better investment that can last and pay for itself by switching to All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com. That's allenergysolar.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59, Wednesday sunny with a high near 90, and Thursday a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 89. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle, while for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, hour 2 of Tuesday, June 28th. Here in Minnesota, AM 950. We've had a couple callers already. If you have something to say, call 952-946-6205. So far, we've been talking about the Roe v. Wade. This has been another, we're having historic day after historic day, kind of for weeks now. Today, the January 6th committee hearing, you know that there's problems going on in Mar-a-Lago when a tweet, but not a tweet anymore. It's from Truth Social, Donald Trump's fake Twitter. That is, all of the board members are being indicted, by the way, or subpoenaed by a grand jury, by the way. But, you know, there's trouble in Mar-a-Lago when Donald Trump writes something like, I hardly know who this person, Cassidy Hutchinson, is, other than I heard very negative things about her, total phony leaker. And when she requested to go to certain others of the team to Florida after my having served a full term in office, I personally turned her request down. Why did she want to go with us if she felt we were so terrible? I understand that she was very upset and angry that I didn't want her to go or be a member of the team. She is bad news. So at the beginning of the statement, he says he hardly knew her, but at the end of the statement, he says he didn't want her to go because he didn't like her. So which one is it? So, you know, things are not going well in Mar-a-Lago when that ends up happening.
That's a very good Trump impression, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I feel out of practice. I feel I used to do it better. But say we do have, kind of interrupting what I'm talking about, Penny has something I'm sure important to say. She's from Minneapolis on overturning Roe v. Wade. Hi, Penny.
Hi. Many years ago, I had an abortion. I had a 22-week fetus that had died within me. And so my Minnesota doctor said, rather than put you through labor and delivery, we'll do an abortion, which we did. I don't think people realize, like you said, no one is pro-abortion.
Right.
And not only that, last night, it's like they say we're pro-open borders. We're not for open borders either.
Right, exactly.
But last night on this station, one of the hosts was talking about if people had daughters, they'd realize, cited an NFL player years ago who got a girl pregnant. He didn't want to raise the kid. The baby was born, but he murdered the mother. So the violence can continue even after the baby's born.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and
you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, Republicans keep accusing us of wanting to kill babies. I need to ask, in that situation, you know, a star NFL player, so you Republicans, do you care about him murdering the already born grown woman? You know? Right,
just because he didn't want to pay child support. And that can easily happen.
Right, I know.
But like I say, my baby had died. They would have had me go through 9 months and have a baby that's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how stupid this is.
So you, obviously, this was after Roe v. Wade, right?
Yes, I mean, it was like 20 years ago. I mean, it was Roe v. Wade. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah,
but you know, but the point is, they don't get it because they don't have daughters. They don't understand the risk we have all the time because we're women.
Right. Yeah. I've been enlightened by a lot of women that I know. I'm a man, and I admit I don't understand how absolutely terrifying it can be because I'm a man, and I have my wife is very good at convincing me of things and helping me learn about things, and she made me really have a much better, still not as vivid as if I were a woman, but but a much better understanding for just how terrifying all of these things can be for women. I just think about. Go ahead.
That first caller, when they start citing Bible, from what I understand, recently I heard from read or whatever, scholars are saying the Bible wasn't even written till 70 years after Jesus died. The things they quote are ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're just ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. The first, I can't remember his, the first chapters of the New Testament. It wasn't talked about. Nobody who, any of the people, the people who wrote the gospel about Jesus Christ never knew him, because they didn't even start thinking about him until 50 years after he was dead. So, I feel so much for the poor women who already had a scheduled abortion for maybe this week.
I do too.
And it's canceled, and now they have to scramble because, time moves fast in that situation.
You're not kidding when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, well, thank you so much for your insight.
We have to codify it, like that woman said. I've been a Democrat my whole life, but we have been lazy as Democrats. We should have done this years ago. We should have not taken the chance.
Yeah.
We could have and should have. Right.
Yeah. I don't think anyone ever really even thought of it. But yeah, now, in hindsight. Thank you so much for your call, Penny, and for your
so
insight.
Welcome. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. We have another person from Minneapolis, Chris. Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Good.
Good. So we talked about abortions, and only 1 or 2% of abortions are medically necessary for the safety of the mother. So when you talk about the health of the mom, you're talking about 1 or 2% of abortions, and those are all legal still. In every state.
No, that's not true. There are states that are absolutely banning abortion. Absolutely. Like Penny, who just called in, who had her fetus died while she was still pregnant, and now
in Minnesota that would still be legal.
In Minnesota, yeah, but there are other states that it would not be legal, and right now that would not be legal.
Right.
That's what we're talking about here.
Right, but it's 1 or 2% of the time, and I think if it wasn't so, I think if both sides came to a little more of an agreement and said we want to have that part of the thing, I think that would be a long way. But when you have some sides on people on the left talking about up to the day of abortions, that's not right either. And I think both
there are no Democrats. There are no Democrats saying that you can just have. There are not. You're lying, sir. You're lying.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
They're not putting it in a bill right now, but give it time.
Putting
it in the bill right now because it'd be political suicide. But give it a little bit of time. California, they proposed that out east in Vermont, I believe it was. In California, you've already got the thing proposed in California too. They passed it in California.
I think you're being misled, sir.
No, I'm not.
Okay. People who are being misled, you always know that they're not being misled. Thank you, though, for your call, Chris. And now we have another Minneapolis person, Matt. Oh, my God, this is going out of control. Hi, Matt.
Hi, I'm going to keep this short. Okay, I'm in my early 60s. I have 4 older sisters. And back in the 60s, when I was growing up, one of the eldest ones was, do you remember the Jesus Freak movement?
I'm, I remember like Jesus Christ Superstar. Is that...
Well, no. Like when some of the hippies started turning on to God and dropping drugs and everything. And then one of my sisters, when she was after high school, had gotten one because she just didn't want one, and it caused a major rift in the family,
Yeah.
And because of that, it kind of broke the family apart. But at the same time, I have a daughter now that I had late in life, and she's 20 years old, and she's a major feminist. And, I totally agree that Roe v. Wade should have not been overturned. And the problem that I have with this Supreme Court that Trump is bragging about at his Zig Heil rallies is that, they're basically putting religion over state.
Yep, absolutely.
And that is so illegal. The founding fathers wrote that in the Constitution because of, getting away from England.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't, though. But I certainly do. I mean, they were afraid, and a lot of it was because the Puritans who came over here were Christians that were being vilified and discriminated against in Europe. So it kind of started from a Christian point of view, but it was basically, no, we don't want anyone to be discriminated against because of their religion. Therefore, we need freedom of religion, which also means freedom from religion. That's how America was founded.
And yes, exactly. And the only thing that I'm worried about now, that coming in the future, are we going to be taken back to the Salem witch trials for Jesus Christ's sake?
Well put. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go. I know you guys are in for time. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for your call, Matt. Yeah.
Oh, and you do Trump and Casey just great, dude.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Appreciate
bye.
that. Okay, bye. I haven't even done Casey Kasem, so he must be a longtime listener.
We haven't done Casey Kasem
Yeah,
yet. I don't think since you filled in, or at least when I've produced.
I was thinking maybe tomorrow I would do Casey Kasem's countdown of the stupidest parts of the Jensen Bix bill to try and get rid of inflation, because they have like 5 points that are dumb. One of them, I think, number one, our next song is the worst. He wants to get rid of income tax in Minnesota. What would that do? We would go bankrupt.
Yeah, that kind of goes against their argument, too, that we put too much money into the economy, and that's what caused inflation. Isn't that exactly what that's doing?
I know. And by the way, people are still spending money. Yeah, they're spending more money, but the reason that we have inflation is because people started spending money a lot more than they were spending it during the pandemic for obvious reasons. And so we go into inflation as a reaction, a natural reaction because of that. But people aren't stopping spending money. They're still buying gas and going on trips. Everybody's excited that we're no longer in a pandemic. People are going to restaurants. People are buying groceries and things like that. So, the economy is always more complicated than what at least Republicans are trying to say.
At least we know in right-wing governments around the world, they're not experiencing inflation, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. Oh, and by the way, man, Governor Walz is a really powerful man for causing inflation in other countries as well. Man, the Republicans are so impressed with Tim Walz that they think he's got that kind of power. Well, now we're late for another break. I haven't even begun to talk about what I started to talk about, but it's great. I love hearing from the listeners as well. A lot of good insights. So let's take a break and come back. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
Home ownership is one of the biggest financial commitments most of us ever make. So why not keep informed? Tune in each week, Sundays starting at noon, to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, here on AM 950. We will keep you up to date with Twin Cities real estate market trends, forecasts, tips for buying and selling, and much more. If you missed last week's show, you can catch us online anytime at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hey, Minnesota, I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show, and I want to hear from you. Call in, be heard at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425 as we focus on the issues most important to working America. The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk. Weeknights, 8 to 10 p.m. right here on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, my name is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown. As the only minority-owned union printing company in Minnesota, I believe in giving back to the community and standing up for social justice. At Minuteman Press Uptown, we understand Black Lives Matter and know love is love. We're active in the Twin Cities fighting for racial, social, and economic justice. We believe our employees are vital to our success. That's why we pay above living wages with benefits.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Yes, we choose Minuteman Press Uptown because they share our progressive values. But what I've learned with my many years of working with Frank and his team is they are much more than just a print shop. They have helped us with creative marketing ideas and materials. The design team has helped us every step of the way in creating new material. They always come with fresh and unique ideas to help promote AM 950. Call Minuteman Press Uptown at 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Todd Mikkelson, sitting in for Matt McNeil. And we're here in the second hour on this Tuesday. Things have just been wild here on the AM 950, caller after caller. People, wow, this subject I don't think has, I haven't gotten that much reaction from listeners. Yesterday, there were some really kind of mean people calling. We weren't even putting them on the air while I was talking about that subject. It's very, very explosive. One thing that happened today, completely off that subject, but it still is showing that women are get the fuzzy end of the stick, even in the world of criminals and child traffickers. Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Not that she does not deserve that. Sounds like she does deserve that. But, she trafficked underage girls to men that then paid her for, so what about those men? How come nobody's paying any attention to the men? How come they didn't go get indicted and go to court and get 20 years in prison? So, anyway, we were starting to talk about the hearings, and I want to take a little bit of a different view on these hearings. I want to point out how much of a horrible person Mark Meadows is. I don't know if anyone remembers back 10 years ago now when going into the election of Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the United States, Mark Meadows, who was in Congress at the time, I can't remember if he was a senator or a House member, but he said, let's send him back to Kenya or wherever, a whole birther thing. And then he talked about how much of an idiot Trump was in 2016, but then he ends up being Trump's fourth, because Trump couldn't keep people in his White House, ends up being the fourth chief of staff under Trump. Completely sticking up for Trump, especially during this whole January 6th thing. And the way he was described by Cassidy Hutchinson today, Cassidy Hutchinson basically being his main assistant. But by the way, she had many occupations too. She was spread way too thin in the White House, again, because they couldn't keep people in the White House. They couldn't keep people in the Trump White House. So poor Cassidy Hutchinson, who, I don't want to give her too much because she was a Trumper. She's a MAGAT. At least she was. I doubt she is anymore. But that's why she was there in the first place. But she, in describing all the different things that she was responsible for at the White House and on the Hill, she was the liaison to Congress. She was handled part of security for both Mark Meadows and Donald Trump. So she was kind of the liaison to the Secret Service as well. Plus, she was a special assistant to Trump. Plus, she was Mark Meadows' basic, first-hand man, right-hand man. And the way she describes him, every time she came into his office, he was just sitting on his couch, scrolling through his phone, and she would say something to him. He wouldn't even look up at her. And sometimes he wouldn't even answer her. And he did that to other people as well. The way she described him, he was a zombie. And then, of course, the grand finale of today tells you really how vile and evil and anti-American Mark Meadows is. But I want to point out that he always was. He was always a hypocrite, liar. Remember when Trump was sick of COVID, with COVID, we're all sick of COVID, but he was in the hospital, and he really would have died if he didn't have these treatments that basically nobody can afford. I heard numbers like the kind of treatment he got was some special thing. I can't remember the name of it, but it was, to have the kind of treatment he got would have cost like $150,000. And he was at one of the best hospitals in the country. So he would have died if he was not the president. He would have died. Or if he wasn't, well, he's not rich, but you know what I mean. He got COVID bad enough that if he was a normal person, he would have died. And Mark Meadows was trying to, the doctors were lying about it. And Mark Meadows was off in a corner saying, no, guys, some reporters surrounded him, and he said, no, this is really bad. He's not in the clear. I don't know if he went so far as to say he might die, but that's basically what he was saying. And then, of course, he got chewed out by Trump after that, and he just took it. So Mark Meadows, piece of, what can we say on the radio?
There's a lot of terms we could use to describe Mark Meadows and his history. Yes.
I don't know if any of them can be said on the radio, though.
I know that's the problem.
That's the problem. So we can't even describe Mark Meadows on the radio. But going from there, you may have heard some of the explosive news, but I'm gonna tell you about some of it anyway. So one of the things that happened, she does a very grim description, a vivid description, where on, I think it was the 4th of January, there was a meeting that included Giuliani, and she and Giuliani were walking out to their cars together. And as they were getting in their cars, Giuliani is saying, hey, Cass, are you excited about the 6th? It's going to be great. We're going to go to the Capitol. It's going to be really great. And she's like, oh, really? Okay. And then he leaves, and she decides to go back in and says to Mark Meadows, who's, of course, sitting on his couch scrolling through his phone. She says, hey, I just had an interesting conversation with Rudy. And Mark Meadows doesn't look up at her and just goes, oh, yeah. And she says, yeah. So he says that everybody's going to the Capitol on the 6th, because she had not previously heard that. And so then he says, again, I think she even said, he didn't look up at me, but he said, there's a lot going on, Cass. Things could get real, real bad on January 6th. And then she said that's the first time that she got seriously scared and really realized how serious all of this stuff was. And then we go on to find out that there's a quote. I'm kind of paging up and down here because there's so much. I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. And by mags, he meant magnetronometers. I don't know what they are. Magnetometers. I think that's it. Magnetometers.
Sounds right to me. Yeah.
And yeah, they're basically, you can't get a gun through them. And so they had these, and everybody calls them mags. They had them at all the entrances to the ellipse. Trump was screaming mad that the ellipse wasn't full. So the ellipse is kind of an area closer to the White House, and then beyond the ellipse, in a couple more blocks, is the Washington Monument and a huge piece, it kind of up on a hill. So there's a huge piece of grass surrounding the Washington Monument, and the Washington Monument's up on a hill. And a lot of the people were way back there on that hill in the Washington Monument. They weren't coming into the ellipse. So the ellipse itself, it kind of has walls around it. So Trump was thinking of that as sort of his little stadium, and it wasn't full. It was about half full. And he was really pissed when he saw that. And she was trying to say, well, if we get the right angle with the camera, it looks pretty good. And he was just like, no, let them in. But people weren't coming in because they didn't want to go through these metal detectors called mags, because they all had guns and other kinds of weapons. Actually, a lot of weapons were confiscated at these mags because these people were like, oh, do you think that they'll really see that I'm trying to bring a gun into, within 10 feet of the president? And so this is how dumb all these people are. They tried to go through these metal detectors with their weapons, and they had their weapons taken away from them. There were knives and spears and all kinds of stuff. And so then a lot of people, the slightly smarter people, were like, oh, I'm not going to go through that metal detector. I have a gun in my pants. One guy, they played some police radio transmissions of a guy saying, a cop trying to describe this guy walking up a street going toward this other group of 5 to 8 people, he said. And he said he's got this kind of coat on, and under that coat we can see the stock of an AR-15. So people were armed to the gills, it sounds like, with AR-15s and pistols and knives and spears, and putting spear ends on flag poles, and then so Trump really said, get rid of those metal detectors. These people aren't here to hurt me, so let them in anyway. But that explains why the bulletproof glass in front of the stage, and then Mo Brooks had a flak jacket on. They all knew there was going to be weapons. Trump knew there were going to be weapons, and he was like, well, they didn't bring the weapons to shoot at me. They brought the weapons to use down at the Capitol. But now you're not letting them in. They're not going to hurt me. Let them in. Get rid of the metal detectors. And he thought he could boss the Secret Service around. He thought he could boss everyone around. And we're only getting started on the absurdities. We do need to take a break. We will continue on the absurdities of the whole Trump thing when we come back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decisions should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get Choice Hard Seltzer at Lowry Hill Liquors in Minneapolis and Top 10 Liquors in Andover. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at ShambotFamilyDentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Right now, gas prices are up there, but don't worry. Fuel efficiency is easy to obtain with a great hybrid model from Rudy Luther Toyota. The Prius, the Camry, the Corolla, the Highlander, and the RAV4, all of them have hybrid models offering you amazing fuel efficiency while you never once have to sacrifice style. RudyLuther.com is the first place to stop to see all their inventory. Rudy Luther Toyota has vehicles to test drive on the lot right now. Find the Toyota Hybrid, which works with your lifestyle, and get it delivered. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 59, Wednesday sunny with a high near 90, and Thursday a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 89.
It's Angela Warner from Warner Stallion here, letting you know that this is it. Our lowest prices of the season with 5% savings you won't find anywhere else on refrigerators, washers and dryers, and free dishwasher installation too. Shop your local Warner Stallion today.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Todd Mikkelson. We're talking about the explosive, historic day today that happened with the January 6th committee hearings. More testimony from Cassidy Hutchinson, where she describes on December 1st when Bill Barr finally admitted that there is no evidence that the 2020 election was rigged. And when Trump heard it, she heard a noise down the hallway. And Trump spent a lot of time in between the Oval Office and her office and a couple other offices. But next to the Oval Office is basically the Oval dining hall. He spent a lot of time in there and just watching TV. And she heard a noise and went over there. Trump was no longer in the room. The door was ajar, and the valet was in there, and he looked like he was cleaning up something on the table. And he said, "Oh, come on in." And she came in and noticed that he pointed to the fireplace where the TV is as well, and there was broken glass and ketchup on the wall. And basically Trump lost it and yelled and threw his lunch at the wall. And apparently this happened all the time. and like Brett and I were saying earlier, Brett likes ketchup better than me. I don't hate ketchup, but you said that ketchup is important to you.
Good on a hot dog, good on a burger. But, if I have access to the White House chef, I would rather go with that person who is probably one of the best people in the world.
Right. And probably hates ketchup.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the most offensive thing. Not that, the president of the United States has no respect for the White House or the Oval Office or the Oval Dining Room. Like we said, I mentioned earlier, Ronald Reagan refused to take his suit coat off when he was in the Oval Office. There are a lot of people who won't go in the Oval Office unless they're wearing a suit. They make sure their suit coat is buttoned and all of these things because they have respect for that office and the presidency itself. And Ronald Reagan, who I completely disagree with on almost everything, at least on that, I agree with him. He respected the office, and even though he was president, he respected the presidency more than himself. And that's what the president is supposed to do. And that's what we've always counted on the president doing. Now, there's been a couple times it hasn't happened. Andrew Johnson, he was a mess after Lincoln got shot. We have had, really, really bad presidents. Richard Nixon, I think he might have always kept his suit coat on, but man, was he a potty mouth.
Yeah, was he? Yeah.
And I think after that, it cleaned things up quite a bit for a couple presidents, because they were like, okay, I'm not doing what Nixon did. Then, of course, we had Bill Clinton. He wasn't a potty mouth. He probably had his suit coat on, but he might have been missing other clothing sometimes in the Oval Office. So, that's, I think, showing a lack of respect. But Trump just basically, and I don't know if you've seen The Sopranos, but Tony Soprano would really scare the crap out of people sometimes because he would lose it. And everybody was kind of scared of him anyway, because he was a mobster. That's what the show is about. He's a mobster. And I see little except Tony Soprano is way more intelligent and actually less of a petulant little boy, but still a petulant little boy. Anybody who does that kind of thing is a petulant little boy in reality. Bullies are petulant, scared little boys. Tony Soprano was a scared little boy. That's part of what the show was about too. But Trump is just an amateur mobster. That's all he is. We're going to get to a phone call that a witness got. And instead of playing a recording of Liz Cheney reading it, I'm going to read it the way it should properly be read. But first, we're going to talk about another incident that happened in the Beast, which is the presidential limousine, but now is kind of a big black tank. So it doesn't look like a Cadillac anymore. But this happened in the Beast, and I am going to let the words come out of Cassidy Hutchinson, because when I saw this on TV today, my jaw did drop. It was, I can handle the ketchup on the wall, but when she told this story, this is when it's like, wow. So I'm going to let her describe it right now.
I noticed Bobby Engel, who is the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he had said,
she is describing when she came into Mark Meadows' office, by the way, just to put this in context. This is right after they got back from the ellipse where Trump had finished his speech, and they were back in the West Wing, and she walked into Mark Meadows' office, and this Bobby Engel, Trump's head of security, was sitting in the office. So that's what she's describing
I
here.
noticed Bobby Engel, who is the head of Mr. Trump's security detail, sitting in a chair, just looking somewhat discombobulated and a little lost. I looked at Tony, and he had said, "Did you effing hear what happened in the Beast?" I said, "No, Tony, I just got back. What happened?" Tony proceeded to tell me that when the president got in the Beast, he was under the impression from Mr. Meadows that the off-the-record movement to the Capitol was still possible and likely to happen, but that Bobby had more information. So once the president had gotten into the vehicle with Bobby, he thought that they were going up to the Capitol, and when Bobby had relayed to him, we don't have the assets to do it, it's not secure, we're going back to the West Wing, the president had very strong, a very angry response to that. Tony described him as being irate. The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Ornato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
And was Mr. Engel in the room as Mr. Ornato told you this story?
He was.
Did Mr. Engel correct or disagree with any part of the story from Mr. Ornato?
Mr. Engel did not correct or disagree with any part of the story.
Yeah, so that's that. He doesn't only, like in that tape that came out before he got elected, where he talks about grabbing, I think we can say, Kitty on the radio.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So
we get the idea. Yeah, we know what he said. Yeah,
we know what he likes to grab. Apparently, it's also steering wheels when somebody else is driving, even if it's the Secret Service. So yeah, and she also described she wasn't sure what plans were, but she had heard some rumors about things. It included Trump going into the House chamber. Now, in the House chamber, what was going on was a joint session where senators and House members are in the House chamber, and they were doing the final and the formal final announcing and counting of the Electoral College. Each state, one at a time, says, I'm here from, Alabama, and we throw our 4 electoral votes behind, one of the people. And it goes through all 50 states. It takes a while, and it's kind of a formality. And that's what was going on. And it's in the United States is kind of a sacred thing. It's one of the most important parts of our democratic experiment that we began back in the 1780s. And for the sitting president to invade the House chamber while he is, was in the race and was the loser of the race, that goes against every single part of any democracy, much less the United States Constitution. He's, that's also unfathomable. That's something that I didn't even think of. I didn't even think, what if Trump just walked in there and said, stop the counting, I won by billions, I won by 30 billion. Excuse me, that made me cough. I had a little bit of a feather in my throat. The Trump voice completely threw me off. I didn't even think about what would happen if he did that. Another plan apparently was for him to go to Kevin McCarthy's office and, I don't know, tell him what to do. Either way, it's an obstruction of justice. It's an obstruction of the overturning of power. It's the obstruction of the vote. It's an insurrection. And Trump wanted to go to the Capitol. He also apparently wanted to do another speech at the Capitol. How well would that have gone? There was no protection for him, at least for one thing. I don't know if a lot of those people would even recognize who he was, but so that's what was going on there. But there's still more. My jaw had not finished dropping. 2 more huge revelations today. And we'll come back and talk about that after we take one last break and then come back and finish out the hour. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in for Matt McNeil with Brett on the board. We'll be right back.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on the corner of 29th and Johnson for a delicious meal any time of the day. Breakfast favorites include Jean's Mean Fried Egg Sandwich and the Drunken Banana French Toast. While for dinner, try selections like the fabulous Swedish meatballs or wild rice gumbo. Hazel's Northeast is located on the corner of 29th Avenue and Johnson Street, just a few minutes away from 35W. View Hazel's menu, make a reservation, or place a takeout order at hazelsnetogo.com.
Hi, Alex of Better Futures Minnesota.
Does your business or organization need janitorial services, lawn care, or snow services? Obtain a free, no-obligation estimate from Better Futures Minnesota when you mention that you heard about us on AM 950. Our supervised, hardworking, and affordable crews will handle your interior and exterior building and property maintenance needs while you help men in your community transform their lives and walk on a positive path to success. It's a win-win. To learn more, go to betterfuturesminnesota.com under Business Services.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. With the warmer weather, you might be noticing your allergies picking up. And while outdoor allergies are annoying, indoor allergies can be just as bad. Did you know as many as 1 in 5 Americans suffer from allergies caused by particles frequently found inside most homes? One of the best things you can do to relieve indoor allergies is by having your air ducts cleaned, and Zero Res can help. Right now, you can take $75 off your air duct cleaning when you book your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Plus, you can also get 3 rooms of carpet Zero Resified from the Twin Cities' #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $149, plus a free room of fiber protector. A $60 savings. And Zero Res can clean more than just your home. Ask about getting your business professionally cleaned too. So breathe healthy, happy, and clean with Zero Res by booking your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com to get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $149 and get $75 off your air duct cleaning. That's ZeroResMinnesota.com.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. My grandfather started Standard over 90 years ago, and we've been a family-owned company ever since, serving over 500,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. I'm proud to be the 4th generation of my family working in our business. And when we say we treat our employees and clients like family, we truly mean it. See how we can help your family stay comfortable all year long at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Todd Mikkelson sitting in for Matt McNeil on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, with Brett on the board, and we can't figure out which instrument because there are no instruments in that song.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there are. Right?
Yeah, it's just like computer programming, which I'm not interested in doing. I did that in the 90s with music, and it kind of was like, wow, I'm not having fun playing music anymore. So I got my guitar back out and my real drums. Anyway, we were talking about the committee hearing that had some astonishing things. And I can't decide which one of these two things to do first. But I'll go in the same order that they did. So I'll play you here a clip again of Cassidy Hutchinson, and I'm just gonna let her describe it and let you hear this clip.
Ms. Hutchinson, did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchinson, did White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows ever indicate that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
Mr. Meadows did seek that pardon. Yes, ma'am.
So that's pretty huge. Mark Meadows, the chief of staff of the President of the United States, needs a pardon, so he thinks. She went, before that, she described that there were basically 3 different categories of people that were trying to figure out how to handle the aftermath of January 6th. And Mark Meadows vacillated between the 2 worst ones. There was one that was made up mostly of like counsel, lawyers, and it included Ivanka Trump. They were trying to say to Trump that, you got to do this speech. You got to say this was wrong, this was bad, and then you have to say the 2020 election is over. And Trump never did that. He refused to do that. There was a second group of people that were just thinking, she called it sort of the moderates, and they were thinking, well, we don't need to talk bad of the people who went to the Capitol because they're not bad people. We don't want to make them into criminals. We don't want to, we should actually pardon them if there is any criminality. And then there was the third group. They were going to blame it on Antifa. And that's the group that Mark Meadows was in. He kind of vacillated between the two bad ones. But Mark Meadows thought that's the best idea. Let's try and blame this on the Democrats. That's who Mark Meadows is. He knew all this stuff. He knew about the weapons. He knew about all that stuff. Now, here's another thing. They used two examples of basically this is witness tampering, witness intimidation. One of their witnesses said that they got a call, and the witness said, what they said to me is, as long as I continue to be a team player, they know that I'm on the team. I'm doing the right thing. I'm protecting who I need to protect. I'll continue to stay in good graces in Trump world. And they have reminded me a couple of times that Trump does read transcripts. And just to keep that in mind as I proceeded through my depositions and interviews with the committee. And then the other one needs to be read in a different voice.
Person, let me know. You have your deposition tomorrow. He wants me to let you know that he's thinking about you. He knows you're loyal and you're going to do the right thing when you go in for your deposition,
Basically it'd just be like,
we know, I'd hate for something bad to happen to some of your family. I'd hate for something bad to happen to you, Just remember who you're loyal to when you're talking to those people, okay? Just remember. I'd hate for something bad to happen to you or somebody in your family.
That was complete witness tampering. And Liz Cheney ended by saying, we're looking more into this stuff and we're going to take a little bit of time to figure out how to move forward. But then we're going to be doing this more on TV. Also, what happened is Michael Flynn, Liz Cheney asks General Flynn in a taped deposition, General Flynn, do you believe in the peaceful transition of power in the United States of America? And Michael Flynn pleaded the fifth. All of these things happened today on TV in 2 hours, in a little less than, actually, about more like an hour and a half is what it actually took.
I also like that he had to pause the camera for like a minute 30 before he answered that question so he could talk to his lawyer.
Right.
Who needs to talk to their lawyer to answer that question?
Yeah, and he's a military guy. He's a general. That's why they call him General Flynn. He needs to be court-martialed. He should not be enjoying. He was pardoned by Trump because he was going to be thrown in prison. Oh, my God. There's more to say about it, but we're out of time. And I never got to Jeremy Miller and how much of a liar he is and all the backing I have behind that. We're going to have to do that tomorrow. So you're going to have to tune in. Same time, same channel, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Brett and Todd signing off for today. But I will be back tomorrow. Are you going to be back tomorrow, Brett?
I will be here.
All right, great. We'll continue where we're leaving off right now. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks to the callers today. And we'll see you tomorrow.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversation.